Transfiguration Sunday. It's kind of like Trinity Sunday in that when you have more than one priest or you have a seminarian, that's the week the rector says, congratulations, you get to preach on this topic. Because what lesson could you possibly pull out of this other than reinforcing a particular understanding of Christology and the problematic interpretation that Him had of transcending, making obsolete the law and the prophets, when no, actually that's not the interpretation that one could take on this. In fact, there's a better one. So let's jump right in. What is it like when you're facing something daunting? Do you feel like you have no one you can go to share that with? No one to talk to? No one to kind of help walk you through what to expect? Has anyone ever had that experience in their lives? Yep. How did that feel? Lonely. Heavy?
That's why they have dogs.
That's why they have dogs.
Nerve-wracking.
Yes, indeed. Nerve-wracking. Terrifying, maybe? Depressing. Makes you want to run and hide and not have to deal with anything. That kind of feeling. Yeah. And that's one of the challenges we face in life, is when we have to go through something, particularly when those who are around us have never experienced something of that level of pain. And that's nothing wrong with them. It just means they haven't had that experience. Well, that was the thing that jumped out at me the most when I was doing research on this week's gospel reading. Now, instead of the law and the prophets subserving themselves to Jesus, which is the standard Christian interpretation, another interpretation is that these are the preeminent prophets, Moses and Elijah, who are key players in the story of the people of Israel, who also experienced rejection and people threatening to take their lives. Moses, first of all, didn't want the job in the first place. He found every reason in the world not to go. God, I don't know, they don't like me there because I killed one of their Egyptians. Oh, I don't know if the people want me. I have a stutter. I just can't do this. I would rather just stay here and not have to deal with anything. And God kept saying, nope, you're going. Nope, you're going. You remember the whole, not that, not that, not that, not that. No, this is the that you were doing, whether you like it or not. Congratulations. But that's okay. You stutter, fine. I'll send your brother Aaron with you to be your spokesperson. Not only does he have to go back to deliver the message to Pharaoh, let this entire enslaved nation go. Talk about something that would probably not go over very well, especially when the leader is one who is definitely not of the highest caliber of ethics, to put it mildly. That tends to be my opinion of people who enslave people, especially an entire nation group. And so he has to go face this. And not only does he face that, he deals with the plagues, he deals with all these things. He gets to Passover, then leads the people out into the wilderness. And after they've gone through the Red Sea on dry land where Moses and his armies were washed away, the people were like, yay, this is going to be great. We're just going to follow you. We got your back. Everything's good. We're loyal to God. We're loyal to you. We're faithful, and we trust you through anything, right? Nope. Good Lord, the kvetching, the complaining, the, oh my gosh, why did you lead us out here to die, Moses? Why couldn't we just go back? At least we had the flesh pots. At least we had all these other things. I'm sorry, but if the entirety of a sea is parted and you walk on dry land, why would you be so uncertain of what's going to happen next? Yeah, it's hard. Walking through the desert in the heat of summer, we all who have lived in California know how fun that is. But the reality is, if you've had all these miracles that lead you forward, why would you have so much trouble trusting? I know, human nature. I've struggled with being both the one trying to lead and also the one that wanted to give up when it got hard. So Moses had a difficult time. Even up there getting the Torah, he came down and looked, there's the golden calf they made to worship because they couldn't wait 40 days. Moses even had to talk God off a ledge several times. Please, no. Don't kill them all off. You promised you would take care of them. Think about how embarrassed you'd be in front of all the other gods. Not the theological perspective that I would have brought up, Because I kind of feel like, but in the ancient world, that made sense. That being said, God was like, fine, okay, if they're innocent people in the camp, I suppose I should spare them.
Besides, I don't want to be embarrassed in front of the other gods.
Exactly. So, again, ancient scriptures from the ancient Near East had a fundamentally different perspective on how the world worked than we do today. But that being said, it was a story where Moses had to endure incredible hardships to do what he needed to do to be able to lead the people as he was asked to lead them. So he knows what that's like. Fast forward to Elijah. Now Elijah, as you remember, is not the warmest, cuddliest, friendliest person you're ever going to meet in your life. But he is called by God to hold the king accountable for betraying the Torah. Basically, it's holding the leadership accountable to the constitution of the land. Well, if your king is kind of a doofus like Ahab was, and his wife, who is a foreign woman who brings a different religion altogether, who is much stronger, much more powerful than him, is trying to establish her own way in the world, this prophet who keeps saying, you're terrible, you're wrong, you're bad, this woman is evil. By the way, her name was Jezebel. Sometimes I wonder if she maybe gets a little bit worse of a rap than she deserves, because let's face it, I would be frustrated as well in her position. That being said, she was bringing the Baal Canaanite religions into the land of Israel, so kind of problematic. But anyway, after he foretells of a famine or a drought, eventually she gets sick of him and tries to kill off all the prophets of Israel. Woohoo! That's ruling. And so he runs off on his own. He's left alone to die. All the other prophets have either been killed or scattered to the winds. And he has to go up on the mountaintop, and God asks, Elijah, what are you doing here? He says, they've killed off all your prophets and no one's left but me, and I just want to die. Have you ever felt that way? I know I have. You get really angry, and you've had a really long week, you're really tired, you're tired of dealing with people being obnoxious or people being difficult, or life being difficult, not getting what you want. You're just like, I would be better off dead. Oh. God says, why don't you take a nap? Why don't you eat something, or eat something, take a nap, then we'll talk. Again, he knows the hardships. And then he goes and anoints the king to replace Ahab. Also, kind of a difficult place to be when you're like saying, yep, down with this ruler, we're bringing this other one in. Because God said so. Okay, if you're Jesus, your 8 days, the significance of 8 being very important in Jewish numerology, before your crucifixion, you're going to want to have someone to talk to and confide in, because you're facing basically all those things and worse, because not only will you be betrayed by your own family and friends, misunderstood by your own community, taken over by the leadership of the outside empire that doesn't care about you, put to brutal torture and death, you need to have someone you can talk to. And thankfully, he has that with Moses and Elijah. Now, I find it fascinating that 3 of the key players in terms of the future disciples of the church in the book of Acts are the 3 that go up the mountain with him. Who are? See if you remember from the reading. Peter, James, and John. All right. So you've also got the 3s going on. You've got the 3 prophets, the 3 apostles, and good old Peter.
Yay, I love Peter.
I'm so glad we're here. Can we build a places for them to dwell and hang out here? Let's all stay together and have a big party. Jesus is going, oh, Peter, this is not for you. I wanted you here by me, but this is not for you. This is for me. But he sees Jesus in the fullness of his glory. Peter reminds me kind of like those people who are very well-intentioned but make those statements that are actually hurtful when you're dealing with difficult stuff. Like the ones who go up to the parents that can't have children and say, so when are you going to give us kids yet? Or when the baby's coming? Or the people who lose someone tragically long before their time saying, well, at least they're in a better place. God just called them home. The intention is well. The intention is good. But it can be very hurtful, especially when it's something that makes no sense in the understanding of why would God allow this? So Peter still gets grace in the situation and still connected and doesn't get kicked out. But, he learns kind of, once again, he speaks first and thinks later. maybe that's a bad way of doing things. But he gets better at it. But long story short, this is a moment where Jesus is in a very difficult place and having to figure it out. And also needs people to help him in that process. Which brings me to the fact that in our lives together, we should never have to face difficult trials alone. We should never have to face tragedy alone, nor dire situations that are extremely consequential, that require immense courage to be able to achieve it. That's why it's important to make sure that we, as we get to know one another, confide in one another our challenges, and when we have shared experiences that are similar, relating to that and giving each other hope and encouragement. And also, if we haven't experienced those things, listen first, then maybe speak. Give room for that person. Give them a hug, a pat on the back, a handshake if that's what they prefer. And ensure that they are being given the space to listen, to be listened to, and to be supported. And that's one of the things I love about this. Even in the fullness of the transfiguration, even with Jesus in dazzling white clothes, obviously really important, with the two perennial prophets of the people of Israel, is in a deeply vulnerable place, getting encouragement as he prepares to take on this horribly difficult experience. So may we, as we face these things, which we will in life, we face all kinds of difficulties, challenges, struggles, and painful experiences, be there for one another in a way that invites stories, invites a sense of vulnerability, invites a place to make safe and supportive of other people going through these things. And when we are going through those things, be able to give that, be able to receive that ourselves. Because if Jesus needed that encouragement, Lord knows we do too. So may we be encouraged and be supported together in community, the way that even Jesus himself was supported by his fellow prophets. And may that lineage be passed on the way that the apostles passed it on once they went through that rather torturous time themselves. Amen.